Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for Bosch Legacy Season 2, Episode 5. We have, I think, a much better sense as to how this season is shaping up, what some of the big threats are, what the real meat of this case is involving not music producer David Foster. Like, we are in the thick of it, everybody.
Yeah, we are, and we're getting to know more about these two shifty cops and what they're really up to and everything with the watches. And then, of course, there's the Carl Rogers of it all, where we saw at the end of this episode that Bosch's picture was pointed at. This is the guy who said boom. So we know going into the second half of the season that things are really going to heat up a lot more for Bosch and Honey.
As long as that produces a lot of intense action sequences, I'm okay with it. If it produces a bunch of people sitting around in a room and talking about Carl Rogers, I am not okay with it. Can we just, if we're gonna deal with Carl Rogers, can we at least make it exciting? Can we make it thrilling? Can we have like Boss like running down the street or something?
After who? Carl Rogers is gone. Like, can we just like wrap up this Carl Rogers? If we go into the next season, we are still talking about Carl Rogers. Like, we're going to be calling out this show for some nonsense. He is gone, dead, over. Let's move on. This newer story that's going on with these two kind of shifty cops and the watches and Lexi. I mean, this is becoming a really interesting case. We don't need Carl.
No, we don't. Though I do hear that at the end of this season, they're actually bringing Carl back as a ghost, and we're gonna have Ghost Carl Rogers entering season 3. But no, we'll get into all that, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the Maddie Bosch story and the decisions that the show and the characters are making there. But
Yep.
before we do dive further into all of that, join our Patreon. We have a link in the description below for you guys for that. Every week we do a live stream over there talking all about Bosch Legacy. It's
Yep.
a lot of fun. We interact with you guys, answer questions. So be sure to check that out. And thank you to those who have so far.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's talk about Bosch being pointed out as the guy who said boom. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not great.
No,
I mean,
no.
really not great. I mean, the FBI showed a whole bunch of pictures. You know, Mo was in there, Bosch was in there, and he's like, I don't want to snitch, but this guy did it. I was just like, okay, all right.
I don't want to snitch, but
Way to hold out on that one, dude.
yeah, this was not a tense negotiation by any means here. And I mean, if we're going to tell this story, obviously it makes sense at a certain point. Bosch is going to be put into the line of fire with all of it. I think this is mostly a story all about how Harry and Chandler can sort of work to take themselves out of this mess. Like, how can you, like, pull yourself out of quicksand? And at the same time, everybody else is trying to shove you into that quicksand.
Yeah, especially also with what's going on back at Honey's law firm with Matthew. I mean, she's really setting him up. He's taking this bait where she's basically like, bring me all of the Carl Rogers files. Bring me everything you have on, a little flash drive. And then, come back later. Here's a whole bag of shredded paper. Can you just take this and dispose of this for me? Like, Matthew's got to be like the biggest dum dum
Yeah.
on the planet that he really thinks that this is a for real situation that's happening here. Like, it's so obviously nonsense.
This man is so delusional and so full of himself that he really thinks that Honey Chandler needs him for all of these sort of tasks. Because, like, otherwise, you would take a minute and be like, why is she asking me to do this?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like, why in the world is he not questioning that she's asking him if she's doing something that's really shady? Oh, bring me all the Carl files. Why wouldn't she just go get them herself, shred them up?
Yeah.
They're gone. And then when he comes later to be like, hey, where's all the files? Oh, they're in wherever, she doesn't have to say that they're all shredded up or whatever's going on. Like, it's very weird that he's not putting any sort of, seeing the smoke around it, or even that because he brought it to the car with the FBI guys. There's this big bag of shredded paper that the two FBI people aren't like, well, this is a little convenient.
what makes this entire story difficult to me is it is what you set up earlier, because the Foster investigation, what's going on with the shifty cops, like all this stuff is compelling enough that it could
Yeah.
command a lot of this airtime. And if we're going to do this Carl Rogers story again, like I would want to see it in a lens where Bosch is sort of like on the run and going rogue and trying to do whatever he can in order to survive. But if he's doing that, he's not going to have time to deal with the David Foster investigation. So I don't know how you continue to tell both of these stories and do both of them justice.
They just needed, when they did the time jump with Maddie, that whatever, all the loose ends of the Carl thing just all got swept up in that same thing, because, we didn't get to see sort of all the aftermath with Maddie. Okay, cool. And let's not see any of the aftermath of
Yeah.
everything with Carl Rogers. Let's just wrap it up. And now we're 4 months later and we're moving into, the Lexi case.
The Lexi case brings us, especially in this episode, a lot of the stuff that I like about Bosch. I mean, you've got Bosch going quote unquote undercover at this house.
Yeah.
Hey, go get me a tape measure, and then I'm gonna somehow magically look at everything I need to look at. And
Yeah.
there's a couple of moments like, okay, really, he's getting away with this, but no, he has the argument outside of the house. He's not really getting away with that much, as it turns out.
No, the husband comes home. He's a deputy. I mean, okay, tinfoil hat.
All
Everybody
right,
get your
all right,
tinfoil
all right,
hats
I'm ready.
on. I think this husband is somehow involved. I don't know if he knew everything or he knew some of it or whatever, but it just feels like something is involved. It's very odd. I mean, it makes sense, but odd that when Bosch is going around the house, it's like, oh, everything is still here. But this is the room that happened in, and now it's completely cleaned out. There's nothing there anymore. The walls have been painted. The floors have been stripped. It's just like, oh, okay. Like, I know the investigation is, quote, done or whatever, but it's just like, okay, they've also made it extra that if you ever wanted to go back and look at anything, there's nothing there for you anymore in only that room. So it makes sense, of course, as a cover story to be like, oh yeah, of course. Why would I want that room to still be the way that it was? This horrible thing happened to my wife in it. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But also, you're covering up any potential evidence that could possibly be found later on to get the right person.
I think where we're going here, and I don't mind this, even if it is a little bit not cliche, but it is routine for a show like this that we have like the one rogue person or two, if you're wanting to put Chandler in here as well, going at a increasingly corrupt group of officials that are working together on something underhanded. Because,
Mhm.
like your tinfoil hat theory suggested, the husband is probably involved here somehow.
Yeah, the watch went missing, but her ring and everything else was still there. And that's
Yeah.
where we get to these two shifty cops, where it seems like they have these girls running this scam where watches are getting stolen from men. And, they're taking these watches and they've got some deal with some jeweler. And it's like, okay, well, the only thing that was taken from Lexi is the watch. So how is that not connected? It's gotta be.
Yeah, it feels connected, but it also feels like a situation where Botch is being already told, you can't be doing this. We want to see your license. This is your one pass. And he's getting in this situation where the more he digs, the more he's going to be shoved away from all this. We don't know how many shifty people are actually involved in all of this. And it's the classic, oh, you've looked too much. Now we're all going to collectively destroy you. And even if you do have all the facts and all the evidence, who's to say that they won't just bury it, do whatever to cover it up? Like, these people have obviously thought a certain amount of this through, because if Lexi's death is connected to it, they've already done what they could to cover that up. So they don't,
Yeah.
dealing with you is not going to be that big a deal to them.
Yeah, makes me wonder how deep all of this goes. Is it just these two cops that are taking the watches and they just happen to hit, a cop's wife? Like, is that what happened? Or is the husband involved? And because he's involved, he wants Bosch to stop looking into it. So now these other two cops are coming over to be like, Bosch, this is your one warning. And now there's like these 5 guys all involved in it somehow, because Bosch even said, like, you guys have the wrong guy. Doesn't, the husband want the right guy to be put away for this.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing that some stuff is not adding up. It's not as close case as you think it is with all the DNA. They now have this footage of, David's car or truck going to the hotel and being there for a couple hours at the same time that
Yeah.
James was there, at the same time at the murder, and then drove in the different direction away. Like he was somewhere else.
Yeah. That much feels clear, but will anyone believe it?
This is the thing, is like it feels more so that it's less about the watches. I feel like the watches are kind of like just a side
Yeah.
scam that's going with it. It feels like maybe if all 5 of these cops or a bigger group of cops are all involved in this, it just feels like a bigger frame job, if it's a frame job on David, that there's something that David knows or he, was going to do or something. It's something about David that all of them have come together collectively to be like, okay, we're all going to get in trouble if we don't just kind of put David away, get rid of him, and deal with it.
The problem is you got to get David to say it. And David is like a nesting doll of secrets where he'll say one thing, then you open it up, he'll get another secret out there. Like, how much deeper
Yeah.
do you have to dig before he's like, oh, actually, I also have this thing I got to tell you guys.
Yeah, which makes him like kind of the perfect setup because he's like lied and then lied and then lied.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, well, then we can't trust anything that you say. Perfect. You're the guy to go down.
Okay, as we get into the Maddie Bosch story
Mhm.
here, I always think with these shows is like, maybe this is selfish, but it's like, how can I relate to this? And here's the thing, everybody. As someone who has stayed for 2 days at a hotel 100 feet away from the Dolby Theater in Hollywood, I was looking for a very accurate depiction of the Hollywood Boulevard landscape. I got it watching the Rabbit and the Queen of Hearts fighting each other as someone who has seen Spider-Man like accosting Elmo and people yelling at him. This is the true Hollywood as depicted on this show.
It absolutely is.
Like, it is messy, it is chaotic. There's all these entertainers who just think every single tourist is like the least intelligent person who has ever walked. Hey, come over here. Let me get a picture so I can charge you $200 for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty realistic depiction of it, and it was cool to see, Maddie out there trying to get some people who are like pickpockets and stuff
Yeah.
like that, the whole bigger operation that was going on. I mean, that was really fun. And then we had the whole chase scene. Maddie gets her guy. He's in cuffs, and as she's pulling him up, she hits him in the head for no real reason. And she gets called out for it later by her partner, is just like, I saw what you did. Like he was already cuffed. You had cuffed him incorrectly the way that you had done it. That's why he was struggling, because Maddie's like, oh, well, he was struggling. She's like, he was struggling because of something you did, not because of necessarily something that he was doing. Like, you gotta really sort of understand what's happening here. Like, and that's where it's kind of like, is it her sort of adrenaline or rage or whatever's going on, like the partner was kind of suggesting? Or is it that she still really knew she, cuffed him incorrectly and she didn't know how to deal with the situation? She's still trying to learn the job, or is it a mix of both?
Okay, just put on your hard hats, everybody.
Okay, hard hats.
I
Here we
like
go.
I like Maddie as a character, but
I do
she
too.
does not need to be out there. And I think it's also on the partner at a certain point to be like, okay, yeah, I'm telling you this, but I'm also going to talk to the superiors about it. I don't care about, if there's code, if you want to give Maddie a pass or anything else, but this is a really slippery slope. And at the point in which the partner is talking to her, she's basically being like, okay, if I don't say anything to a superior about this, I'm just going to trust that Maddie is not going to do this again. And if she does it again out in the field, it could be worse. Like in this instance, you may have just gotten lucky that this is all that happened. Like for me, I feel like it is rage. I feel like it is she has not dealt with what happened at the end of last season. She's being extremely reactive. She hasn't gotten the help that she needs as a result of it. And because of all this, like she should not be out in the field right now. And it is a very very big risk to just assume that she's going to listen to this message and really try to get better. I hope that she does. I hope that this is sort of the end of it and she's going to process it and think about it and then try to be better, or willingly be like, okay, you know what? I shouldn't be out there. I'm going to pull myself back. I'm just very, very worried coming out of this situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was kind of hoping wasn't going to be happening this season. If they were going to give us a time jump, that it was sort of like, okay, we don't need to watch Maddie in therapy or going through whatever she needed to go through to actually get to the other side of it. We're just going to get her to the other side of it. Instead, we just have this huge time jump where she just like repressed everything.
Yeah.
And now she's back in the field again, which it's kind of like, I would assume, and I don't know really anything about the world of cops. I don't know
Yeah.
anyone who's a cop. I've never been a cop, but I would assume that after something like that, that there's probably something that the force has for you that's like, okay, before you're going to go back on the street, you're going to ride a desk, but you're also going to talk to this therapist or you're going to talk to whoever. And then once they clear you, then you're going to be back out there again, because they don't want incidents like this happening where she hasn't dealt with anything. She doesn't know how to deal with anything. And she's also still very new.
I would assume that you're right. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that they wouldn't do something like that. It's just they haven't, because they haven't said it or shown it or talked about it on the show. It puts us in this hard position where we don't know what exactly it is that we're supposed to believe. Like, we know that she didn't tell her dad about a lot of what was going on until
Mhm.
after the fact, and that may very well be because she even said it, she knows what his reaction would have been, and
Mhm.
he might have been able to step in and be like, okay, because of what I've went through, I know that this may not be a good idea. But the snowball has already started to go down the hill at this point, and unless somebody stops it, it could be an avalanche. I just don't know if Maddie has the wherewithal in the moment with everything that's going on with her, that she's going to be able to take a step back, because I think she might feel like it is this means that I'm not good enough. This means that I'm not going to be able to recover. And that's not what it means. But if she tells herself that, she lies to herself that way, then she may not be able to stop.
Who wants a Mo love interest?
Okay. I I'm
Listen,
fine
I
with it.
I really like the Mo
Yeah.
character a lot because he's smart and
Yeah.
he's working with Bosch and he has a different view on things than Bosch has, but they're able to sort of, because they're both really smart guys and able to dig really deep into things, they come together in a way that I really like watching. I'm not interested in a Mo love story. I'm really sorry, Mo. Your love life doesn't mean anything to me. I'm so interested in watching you working with Bosch to deal with Carl Rogers' case, to deal with the Lexi case. I mean, the Mo character is really interesting the way he is and the way he works.
That's the thing. It's like it's fine. I would be fine if I was just told that he has a love interest and then they just move on to other stories and like some of it more is happening off camera. Like that would be okay with me.
Get your love
I would
interest out of here, Mo. We need you back with
okay.
Bosch.
I
Stop.
I just want to see I'm with you in the sense that I just want to see more of Mo doing what he is with the other series regulars.
Mhm.
Like, that's the real meat of it. If it's a part of his personal life, a part of his backstory, like, I don't have a huge issue with it. It's just that shouldn't be the primary story for Mo on this show, especially given how short some of these episodes are and how few of them we actually get per season. We don't
Yeah.
have, it's gonna make me sound so old and stubborn. We don't have a lot of time for dilly-dallying around on this season, especially because y'all are already wasting so much time on Carl Rogers.
Yeah, this season seems to have a lot of sort of love interest type stuff going on. Honey was being hit on at her yoga class or whatever. We have Maddie with this other cop. Now we have Mo with random sort of hacker girl. Like, it's just kind of like, okay, this is not a love show. I'm not watching The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Like, let's get to the crimes.
Okay, well, maybe that's what we'll have moving forward. We got a lot of Bosch Legacy season 2 still to go. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Bosch Legacy Season 2, Episode 6 reaction and review. We're starting to make some progress here on
Mhm.
some stories, everybody. I think this was a pretty good episode. Yes, there's still a little bit of the Carl Rogers nonsense that we don't care about as much going on, but I feel like in general, this episode focused more on David Foster. It
Mhm.
focused a little bit more on how that case and everything with the watches is starting to expand outward.
Yeah, and we got this amazing speech with Maddie and everything with her impact statement and her getting to sort of confront what happened to her
Yeah,
and a lot of realizations inside of her, which is what I was hoping to see this season. And they gave it, just it feels like at the right time. Like they didn't drag it out all
yeah.
season long.
I was pretty worried that this was going to be in the finale and we were just going to take all of that time to get there. But now we actually have a chance to hopefully see her on the other side of this
Mhm.
and how she's actually doing. And maybe she's getting improved based on what we have seen the past couple weeks to where she was at the end of this.
Mhm.
We'll get, of course, more into what worked, maybe what didn't. There's a couple of questions I do still have about the show at this point. But before we go further, join our Patreon for more Bosch Legacy discussion. Live streams all about this show every single week. It is so much fun. We love doing them, and we hope you guys decide to take part.
Yeah, and we really appreciate everyone who has joined our Patreon. It really helps support us here at the channel so that we're able to continue bringing you more Bosch videos.
Yes.
Okay, let's just get into the Maddie stuff because she's been the part of this whole season that I have been the most excited about. Like those first two episodes were straight fire.
Yes.
I keep saying that because it's still true. And then this episode, they really brought a lot of that together. She was really struggling with her impact statement. She didn't know how to write it. And she ends up having this really important moment with Honey where she explains really what the problem is, where she's just like, I'm having a problem looking at myself like I was a victim too, but I was. And I'm also having a problem like if I don't go, then I'm not helping the people who were victims. So he might get a lighter sentence, like something might happen.
Yeah.
If I do go and I tell like this half truth to kind of like cover things up a little bit with the people at work, I'm really not helping anyone. If I go there and I tell the whole truth of how I really felt, I'm really worried that people at work are going to look at me different. They're maybe not going to want me to continue to kind of work out in, the streets, and that I'm going to be kind of getting relegated to more desk work, that they're not going to think that I'm capable at my job if I show, emotion and hurt and how much it really affected me. It was such an important talk that I was kind of like, I wonder which way she's going to go with it. And now it really makes sense of how many different angles there are of what she's struggling with.
They handled, I think, the writing on it particularly well. I think her actual statement was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Like the part of it where she's demanding that he look at her, that she speaks kind of everything on her mind, who this person really is, and just because not all of it happened to her, that he still did these horrible, horrible things.
Yes.
And she understands what her role is and what he wanted out of her, where she was basically put up as this pawn as a part of his larger end game. And I'm really happy for her that she got to have this moment. It seems like she's feeling a little bit better on the other side. I would like to see this show have her contend more with what happened in this chase sequence on this past episode where she
Mhm.
got too rough with the person she arrested, because I think you could say that they kind of sort of, I don't want to say danced around it, but they were kind of a couple of vague references in the impact statement. But I think she needs to face that part of it a little bit more head on and kind of vocalize and say, okay, what I did was wrong. It was too much. These are the steps that I'm going to take to correct it. I think the end of this episode, you can interpret that as, okay, she's doing better. It probably won't happen again, but I'm still worried about it.
Yeah, my hope is, we saw that she got to the point that she's like, okay, I'm ready to move out of my boyfriend's place. Thanks for letting me stay. And he's kind of like, hey, you can stay a little longer. She's like, nah,
Yeah.
listen, I need my own place. I want to be on my own. I want to be able to, know that I can be on my own sort of thing and I need my own space and she's moving forward. My hope is that they will revisit this in some sort of conversation with her dad
Yeah.
because, her dad has ridden the line on things a lot throughout his career with the force, his career as a
Yeah.
PI. I mean, that whole pipeline thing, that none of that was legal. Like he is somebody that would understand, riding the line on some things and that she didn't need to do that, but might have an understanding of why she got there.
Okay, let's get into Harry now because this is sort of my tinfoil hat theory on where things are going here with Mr. Bosch is that we are setting up for Bosch versus, I don't want to say a significant chunk of the force, but Bosch versus at least a certain chunk of the force that he was once a part of. And I
Mhm.
think that's what makes this entire storyline so complicated because he's effectively trying to be pushed off of doing it. And whenever that happens, that's basically a dog with a bone for him. Like he is now at the point where he's trying to analyze phone calls, when they happened, to whom they happened, and then also from there, okay, why are these pieces not really lining up in the way in which I thought? It seems clear that, the watches are a big part of the end game
Mhm.
here, and there's just so much collateral damage that is sort of all around them that, like, my big question is, how do they think they're gonna get away with all of this? Is it just the we're so powerful and we're in authority, so you can't touch us?
It just feels like there's a lot more cops involved with this
Yes.
than, maybe initially we thought at the beginning where it was kind of like, oh, it's just these two guys. And, I'm kind of suspecting the husband. I
Yeah.
feel like, the two guys who showed up at Bosch's place, a little while ago, they also kind of know. And now it's like, they're trying to get him off the case and they feel like they can because he showed up at, the husband's house. But the judge is like, no, that's nothing. Like, stop. Like, you can't take him off the case. He's still going to be on the
Yeah.
case. But the judge is like, you need to wrap this up. This is a, open and shut case. David Foster is guilty. Get to the plea deal and let's get this off my desk, sort of thing. So we did see Honey go to David Foster and be like, this is what they're offering. This is, my advice. And he decides not to take it.
Mhm. That I mean, obviously that's important. That gives us a setup for what's coming up next. Now,
Yeah.
is the judge involved? Is the judge in on this? It thought crossed my mind.
That's a good tinfoil hat theory.
I I think it's possible, but I'm landing right now on no, just from the vantage point of okay, it's gonna start to veer into an unbelievable direction if it just so happens that every single person connected to this on the legal side is involved in it.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like, spoiler alert, Justified, the
Yeah,
City Primeval, which was another show we covered here at the channel. Great season, had
yeah,
some problems, but definitely had that feel of like everybody's, corrupt. Everybody has their hands dirty. Like it was tough. It was a tough season for that where, Raylan was just like, I don't know who to trust because everybody's covering up their dirty hands.
I think the judge was probably being truthful in just that, okay, you know what? Based on the evidence I've seen, this is what the truth probably is. I do have a lot of other stuff on my plate. Let's just keep it moving. And that's sort of the cynical side of what's going on here. And if I'm gonna sort of add more cynicism on top of all of this, you know, cops probably don't make an extreme amount of money given that this is, a show set in Southern California. It is expensive. Of course,
Mhm.
there's going to be some criminals, some cops who are doing the wrong thing to try to get like that little extra something something. And this sort of strikes me as a couple of people started up some operation that they knew was not legal. It expanded outward beyond that. And then once it gets to this point where there are people who are dying, you're already in so deep. Like you've already sort of established this thing that you're going to get in trouble for. So basically, they're trying to cover their tracks at every single turn. The problem is that's not gonna stop Bosch, and I think they know
No.
it's not gonna stop Bosch.
No, I mean, they've been tracking Bosch. They know that he's circling around the Lexi watch
Yeah.
and the case. And I mean, this to me was just a complete admission of guilt that they absolutely were part of what happened to Lexi. I mean, they followed Bosch to the watch shop. They got in, they
Yeah.
started asking questions. They learned about the Lexi, of it all, that's kind of what he's circling around. They decided to kill the people at the watch shop, and then they just took all the watches and left. So it feels like they're very much involved in what happened to Lexi. And that's where I'm just kind of like, again, how much does this husband actually know?
And I think he either knows a lot or he's basically being put in a position where they're telling him, just either take this money or listen to this information. We're doing what we have to do. But if you do X, Y, or Z, we're coming for you next. I think he's either directly guilty or he's guilty by association somehow. The question here, of course, is yeah, Bosch may know this with every fabric of his being, and I feel confident that he does. But where is he going to find the proof? Like, how is he going to get the direct evidence in all of this? Because presumably these are people who know how to cover their tracks. I say presumably just because we've already seen some rather interesting business when it comes to Honey Chandler's car and where you put documents.
Well, and also, like, they just went into this watch shop in the middle of the day and killed the owners and took all the watches. Like, this shop has no cameras in it. It's a watch shop. Like, I feel like, I didn't see enough sort of cleanup and, get to be able to kind of get out of there.
These people are very arrogant. Like, they think because they are the law that they are also above the law, which is such a ridiculous cliche. But I think because this show does action and does sort of like these dark characters so well, we
Mhm.
kind of get on board this ride. Like, we know that Bosch is not going to end this season dead. Presumably, it's going to be Bosch
Hope
Legacy
not.
without Bosch.
Well, maybe. I mean, the legacy is Maddie. Could we be moving into a next season with no Bosch? No, I don't think
No,
so.
I don't think so. But I think they want to strike that sort of fear in you, and they want to strike that fear, obviously, that everything with the pipeline is going in that direction as well.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, it was so good to
Yeah,
see Honey and Bosch set up Matthew like
yeah,
that, to have him show up. And you could see it on his face as soon as he walked into that restaurant. He was like, oh, it's up. So he sang like a bird. He told them
yeah.
everything. And they were just like, listen, as you keep getting information, now you need to just keep giving it to us so that we can be a couple steps ahead of the FBI and what is going on. Like, yeah, it's not great what you did, but like, I can't fire you. They're
Yeah.
gonna know what's going on. But if you want to make it up to me, this is how you can do it.
I think Chandler put it right. She can't trust this guy. Like, he's already betrayed
No.
her, but I think he is the best thing they have right now. And when you don't have a lot of options, you kind of take what is being given to you. He's being given to you. You can try to use him. I don't think you'll get everything you want, but you can get some of what you want.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting with the Mo love story.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I knew
So
we were getting here.
we're with his, new love interest who, is like, oh yeah, I did a little bit of sort of hacking when I was younger, but really I just podcast about it now. And this is what's happening to me. My ex is trying to get all my medical files of my family. If that all comes out, oh, it'll be the end of the
Yeah.
world kind of thing. And now Mo's on this mission to like help her get all that secure and away from her ex. I'm just like, why? Why does Mo need to be all the way over here
Yeah.
when everything's going on over here with, Bosch having to deal still with the Carl Rogers stuff and the David Foster stuff? It's just like, why does Mo not need to be involved with two major things that are going on with Bosch right now?
It felt like they were really desperate to give him his own story. And I understand that Mo's a major part of the show, but could you
Yes.
find a way to connect it a little bit more directly, consistently with Bosch and Chandler? Like, could you find a way to connect a possible love interest to everything that's going on?
What I'm wondering is, tinfoil hat theory
All right, all
for
right.
one, is that is this the story that they're going to be setting up for next season, that Mo is going to end up finding something a lot bigger going on with this, company, that then by the end of the season, when Carl Rogers is going to be wrapped up. I'm putting that out into the air here. No more Carl Rogers after this season, guys. Wrap it up. That they can then Mo can bring this to Bosch to be like, hey, I was, helping this woman out with this thing, and I've stumbled into this. Let's go.
Watch this woman be related to Carl Rogers. They will not find a way to let this go. It will live on in perpetuity. No, I like Mo as a character.
Yep.
I wish that this story wasn't here in the form that it is. I think it's a little bit distracting, and we already have some stories that are not directly connected to each other going on, because technically, and as good as I think the Maddie stuff was, it's not really have that much to do with David Foster. So we already have things that are disconnecting, but they both work because we're talking about the direct Bosch family here. But we are getting close to the end of this season. There's only a handful of episodes left.
Yeah, I mean, are they going to be able to wrap up Carl Rogers? I feel like yes. I mean, there's still not that much movement on it, but now that we've got Bosch and Honey getting more direct information from Matthew, I think they're going to be able to kind of set this up to wrap this up a lot quicker, I hope.
I feel like we're getting there. I think we're going to see some element of closure there. And I think we're going to see some element of closure with the David Foster story as well. I'm sure there will be a cliffhanger somewhere, but we're probably not even in a spot where we know what it's going to be. And that's fine. This is episode 6.
Yeah.
But go ahead, join our Patreon. Remember, live streams every week about Bosch Legacy. They're a great time. We look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you to all our patrons for your support, and we'll see you here next time.